Well, welcome back. We're diving into the creation story again, and we are going to the beginning of chapter 2. Thus, the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. So I guess one of the standout things about this passage is the repetition. We seem to say basically the same thing 3 times, but there's a couple of less noticeable things that I really want to focus on. First of all, one of the things that has always struck me reading this story is these 3 verses in the English seem to belong to chapter 1. And you've got to wonder why it is that Hebrew scholars who broke the text up into chapters and verses decided to start chapter 2 here. It becomes a bit easier to understand when we look at the Hebrew, because the word that begins both verse 1 and verse 2 in the Hebrew text are finished or ended. It's the same word. It's been translated 2 different ways here, but it gives you the sense that this is a new beginning. We've had days 1 to 6, and the day 7 is the start of something quite different. The second thing is focusing on the word host in verse 1, all the host of them. And as we've often noticed, the English translation doesn't quite cut it. We don't get the full implication of that word in the English text. If we look at the Hebrew word, it means army, war, warfare. Now, if you think about an army, we're talking a great number of people. Okay, so there's this idea of many things that have been created. But the implication of war is very strong here. And day 7 is all about rest. We've had days 1 to 6, which is the work, the warfare, and now we have rest, we have peace. And this is why day 7 is said to be sanctified. So it said that God rested on the 7th day, and that word rest is Shabbat, which has become Sabbath. Look, I think it's no secret that the number 7 is symbolic in the Bible. We have many, many 7s. And look, I think particularly the book of Revelation, where we have 7 churches, 7 lampstands, 7 stars, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls, 7 last plagues. There are many, many 7s through the book of Revelation and indeed the whole of Scripture. And one of those 7s I particularly focus on when I think about the peace of the Sabbath day is actually the last seal in Revelation chapter 8. So in verse 1 it says, when he opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. There's that idea of peace after struggle once more. So once we understand that 7 is peace, it ties us to also the meaning of 6, which is struggle, work, spiritual work in particular. Swedenborg calls it temptation, but we can think of it as spiritual struggle, spiritual warfare. It's never easy, it's never pleasant, but it is necessary. And what we find is if we don't engage in the spiritual work that's presented to us, it follows us around. We can't escape it. And I think this is why you then have things like the number of the beast in, again, the book of Revelation being 666. So we also have this reference in Revelation chapter 14 that there is a reality in which there is no rest. And the reason there's no rest is because the spiritual work has not been done. It's been turned away from consistently. Have a look at the use and meaning of the number 7 and the number 6. And just notice how consistently they bring up this issue of work and peace. Again, if you've got any comments or insights, I'd love for you to share them with me. It would be great to have a conversation over some of this and see what you think of all of this. Keep it friendly, and I'll see you next time.